the thing about any percent glitched is it's short enough that it's not that bad. But it's still, from a viewer perspective, would be better if somebody could see what was happening out of bounds, right? And I was aware of this, and I wanted to do something that would be fun for me and fun for people to watch, and also something that would be very low stress, low stakes, for lack of a better word. I mean, what better to do than something that's not even allowed on the leaderboard, right? So I started off with that, and then I actually reached out to the leaderboard moderators at the time, and I was like, hey, so I'm running this, and like, I know it's not allowed on the leaderboards, but I think you guys should consider putting up a category that does allow it, because I think it would be really cool to see more people run this category. And I think that allowing a tile viewer, even if it's not on like the main board, I think that would be like really good. I think that would be good for the game and good for the category and good for the community. I think it would drive interest in some of this like more obscure stuff. And at the time, they were also changing the leaderboard rules with controllers. You know, we're not going to get into that either, but they allowed hitboxes, which provide a significant advantage. And there were some people that, you know, were watching my tile viewer runs, and they compared that. They were like, it's, you know, a hitbox is kind of like a tool that's assisting you to play the game better. What, you know, what's the difference with a tile viewer? And I mean, I kind of agree, kind of don't agree with that. Like, again, we're not getting into it. It's fine. Well, okay, so here's the thing, Drewski. Here's the thing. They didn't say no. They didn't say anything. And that was a huge problem with leaderboard moderation back then. I can't even say it's better now, because nothing like that has really come up in a while. But it is hard. It's hard that I took that to them and then never heard anything back. Because what that tells me, I don't even know if they ever discussed it. But I didn't have the emotional bandwidth to fight for it, obviously, with everything that I've been saying about what's been going on, you know? So I just let it be. So I ran that for a while. I think it was like a month or 2 months or something. I got an 11:08 with the tile viewer, which is pretty good time. Ruya's non-tile viewer run is an 11 flat, just to put it into perspective. Crazy good. So any percent glitched 11:08 with tile viewer. So this isn't a record, obviously, because it's not even allowed on the boards. And again, just in case anybody, but it is my PB in this. The other funny thing is, when I started running this category, at that point in time, there were still some people in the community that were kind of toxic. Hi, Shuck. Bye, Shuck. Thank you. Two of the toxic, like extremely toxic people had been removed from the community, but there was still one kind of lingering. Not going to get into it. It's not worth my time or energy, to be completely honest. But I remember they either messaged me or actually came into chat and were like, why are you running this? You know it's not allowed on the leaderboards, right? And I was like, yeah, F off. Like, so yeah. So here's the end of this run and how it looks with a tile viewer. You can see the tile viewer in the bottom left down here. Okay. The thing is, I actually tried not to look at the tile viewer for these runs as much as I could, but I did rely on it here and there. So you got to X-ray climb out of bounds here. And if you make any even minor mistakes in a couple of specific spots here, so you can see my eyes, like I'm looking at the tile viewer right now, right? If you make any even minor mistakes in a couple different spots here, the run's just over. You just lose. So that being said, so we're still in ship room. It's just out of bounds. Okay. All right. So what's really funny about this is, prior to this PB, I got to this point of the run on like a crazy good pace. And I wasn't looking at the tile viewer because I hadn't been looking at the tile viewer for the rest of the run. And I was like, yo, is this going to be a legit, like I did this legit, even though I had the tile viewer on screen for the chat, right? I got to this point in the run and then I missed this block. And so the run was just over. Anyway, so you go out of bounds, you use X-ray in a certain spot, and that causes the escape sequence. I am much more happy with that run. Sweet. Okay, so here's something I want to point out here. I don't look great here, to be honest. This is December 2022, so this was actually after some other stuff. I think I did this for a while, and then I did KPDR for a while, and then I came back to this, if I recall. But I'm not looking great here. But interestingly, if you compare how I look here to how I look at the 112.53, there's something different about my demeanor that looks more healthy. And it's not even a physical thing. It's just, I would even say I look less attractive, for lack of a better word, here as compared to the 112.53. But I was starting to be more of a stable person at this point after a year, right? After a year of being burnt out and crap. So yeah, that was that run. Prior to this run, as I already mentioned, I did some KPDR. Okay. I did some KPDR for, let's look. I know I have my KPDR runs saved. Let's look here. Any percent KPDR. Okay, so my first KPDR was a 4501. That was, I don't know if this is going to show the original file date because I've moved and copied and stuff. Okay, here we go. March 16th. So March 2022. Okay. So I started this during my second leave from work, and I ended up with a 4258 as of July 2022. Okay. Now here's what's interesting. When I started KPDR, I was expecting to like it more than PRKD, but I didn't really like it at all. But that was actually a good thing because, I needed a run that I didn't really like, because that meant that I didn't care if it didn't pan out, right? And I had no emotional reserves to care. I couldn't care about the game. Like, I had to care enough to want to play it, but I couldn't care if I lost a run. Does that make sense? So, I mean, honestly, I probably should have been doing all this talking in this scene this entire time anyway, and then when I have runs to show, I should have been switching, but I'm stupid and wasn't, so oh well. But, so we're doing KPDR, right? And from March to July, I was enjoying the run more and more, but like not loving it necessarily. But it finally got to the point where I knew I could 42. And the only other person at the time with a 42 was Zost. And I was like, yo, I could be the second person to 42 again. Because like I was the second person to 114. I think I was the second person to something else at some point. So like, 113. I was the second person to 113. Anyway, I was like, I could be the second person to 42. And so I started getting like emotionally invested, right? Which I honestly wasn't ready for after my burnout stuff. And then, this happened. So doing this run and great pace. My PB is a 4302. Great pace. 12 seconds ahead. We're good. Everything's good. Get the baby skip. Brain dead. We're 10 seconds ahead. Great pace. Everything's fine. Everything's cool. Mother brain's dead. If you look at the PB video, we're still plenty ahead. Okay. Both my t-shirt and cap are on my merch store, which is linked. I think there's literally a link below the stream on YouTube. Okay, so we're in the escape. Heart rate is up. I was still on medications at the time that were kind of screwing with me. Not just Adderall. My psychiatrists have been working with me on trying to help me with like mood stabilizers and stuff because of my mental, emotional instability. I worked through a lot of stuff. I think during this run, I had been prescribed lithium, and it was helping me feel like more mentally and emotionally stable. But what I didn't realize it was doing is it would make my hands shake. So it was rough. I was having trouble controlling what was going on. Anyway, this run, 42 should have been free on this run, to be completely honest. And then this happened. Please go. Please go. Please go. Please, no! We lost it. We totally lost it. We 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 lost it. So it ended up being a 4301, I think, PB. And when people ask me why I think hitboxes have such an advantage over controllers, That's what I think of every time, every single time. Every single one of those spin breaks would not have happened if I had a hitbox. It's not something that I blame anybody really except for myself. And I mean, obviously the shaky hands didn't help, but if you have shaky hands on a single button, it's not going to make you break spin. If you have shaky hands on a D-pad, you're going to break spin 9 out of 10 times. So that being said, so that was, when was that? That was July 10th. Remember how I hate July? That was July 10th. This was 1 week later. So I was behind, but I knew I had a bunch of time to save in the escape.
Oh my gosh!
I think I actually hadn't been looking. I think I hadn't been looking at my pace. Oh, that's funny.
No way, dude!
Okay, so
That's some poetry right there, tied the PRKD.
my PB at the time in PRKD was a 4258.
How? With the parlor, dude? I've totally screwed parlor, like really bad. How? 28! Oh, I wanted a 27 so bad.
Yep, so I really wanted a 27. And the reason that I wanted a 27 is because I didn't have a 27. And let me think. Zost had one, Behemoth had one, and Overfiend had one. Overfiend's was in-game time optimized for 27, and I don't think anybody else had a 27 yet. Like 99% sure. So I really wanted to be the next person to 27, and I thought it would be really, really funny if I got my 27 on KPDR. So my goal had been a 42, and I got my 42, but I really wanted a 27. Like I said, I got too emotionally invested in KPDR by this point. It was probably not a very wise choice for me to continue because I was still pretty unstable emotionally. But I mean, if you look at my cam, like I was clearly doing a lot better than I had been. And this was only 6 months after my burnout, right? Now that being said, I still very much didn't feel like myself, to be honest. There were like blips here and there of like, oh yeah, like that's how, you know, Zeni acts and feels when he's happy and stuff. But I was still really worn down and stressed out and stuff. This run happened on August 3rd, 2022. So what's funny is right before, if I recall, right before this run was when Eddie had announced the Any% tournament. It was either right before or right after this run. Eddie announced the Any% tournament for SG Live 2022. And he asked me if I would join, and I was like, okay. Like, I wanted to be done with KPDR, but okay, Eddie, I'll join, right? Okay, so here's this. Now, my cutoff for a 27 was like a 42.55 or a 42.54 to be for sure a 27. So I think I even said there, not the 27.
PB though, damn it, it's good. It's really good. It's really good. It's really good, but it's not the 27. And I freaking morphed and escaped in freaking Leodog's room and fell. Of course I did.
So yeah, I was getting a little too,
Totally a Wednesday move.
little too attached to this.
Absolutely.
Totally a Wednesday
100%
move.
a Wednesday move.
I think this is my only PB in any time in the past multiple years where I wasn't wearing a Super Metroid shirt or a Metroid shirt.
Yes! 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 Oh my gosh, I knew there was a chance. I knew it! I don't know why, but I knew it. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, somehow that ended up being a 27.
That's the best kind of debated, dude.
Totally a Wednesday move shirt. So yeah, anyway.
20.
The thing about in-game time, you never really know for sure. Like maybe you had a bad door transition or maybe there was extra lag here or there or whatever. But so at that point, I didn't really care too much about PBing in KPDR again. But Eddie asked me to join the tournament. Now here's the thing about that Any% tournament. Honestly, I'm really grateful for it because it was a really important thing for me to join. But at the time, I was really scared to join that tournament because I still knew how fragile I was, if I'm being completely honest. I was extremely fragile. Should switch scenes here. I was extremely fragile. And I was so, honestly, I was terrified. I would probably have a conversation with Alpha once every 1 to 3 months where I would just be real with him and be like, dude, I don't know if I can work tomorrow. And he'd be like, it's okay, I got you. And again, like I can't express the gratitude that I have for that man and how much he has helped me and shouldered my burdens. You know what I mean? So being in that fragile state, Eddie asked me if I would join the tournament. And I was like, okay, but I'm only going to run KPDR. And he was like, okay, that's fine. And I kind of looked at that as like, if I do that, I will know that I'm going in with an extreme handicap. And so like, I'll just be happy to even be competitive, let alone, you know, make it to anywhere close to the end of the bracket. Right. So I joined the tournament and, I'm running KPDR exclusively, and it's actually going really well. Like I seeded really well, despite the fact that I was running KPDR exclusively. I remember I had a run that was like almost a PB. I think I had a run in one of the seed races where I actually took first with KPDR, despite a bunch of people running PRKD or like something like that. I don't remember for sure, but it was a good thing, okay? And then something happened. So there's somebody who used to be in the community, and I don't know exactly where he went. He never really came to my stream, and that's fine. But anybody who's watched a fair amount of Oats or even maybe Zost over the years probably knows the name Yalite. So I don't know where Yalite came from or where he went, but he hopefully he's still around, even though he's not with us in Super Metroid right now. Hands down, the absolute most generous person I've ever seen. Speed gaming live tournaments have prize pools, and Yalite, over the course of I think 4 contributions, Yalite contributed, I want to say it was $40,000 to the Any Percent 2022 SG Live tournament. I cannot express how absolutely insane that is. I mean, obviously it's a heck ton of money. Like that alone makes sense, right? But what I mean is like that amount of money for a Super Metroid tournament, like it still blows my mind. When I know that's how much it was, but whenever I say it out loud, I'm like, nah, that can't be right. And I like want to go look, you know what I mean? I want to like go look and be like, oh yeah, no, Zeni, you were way off. But no, I'm sure because I've looked it up multiple times. Of course, the prize pool exploded in that way after I had already committed to and been really grinding KPDR for the tournament. Like the tournament was already underway. The bracket was already underway. And all of a sudden there's a $40,000 prize pool. And I feel weird saying this, but I'm willing to say it because I don't believe that there's anything wrong with this. My love and my passion for Super Metroid is not related to money. That being said, I am able to stream as much as I do with the effort that I do, with the passion that I do, because of the money that it provides, which helps me to assist providing for my family. I have my job, and then I have my stream, and my stream is like a side job, basically, at this point. And it was beginning to move that way as of 2021, which is another one of the reasons that it was so brutal for me to not feel that passion or that desire or that ability to continue, right? In 2021, when I was talking about, you know, I broke inside, right? Because I didn't feel, there was a part of me that was like, I can't stop. Like even if I want to stop, I can't stop because this helps me provide for my family. So in that sense, money is absolutely a motivator for me, right? Not in like a greedy way, just I gotta provide, right? And so yeah, like putting $40,000 into the tournament made me rethink things. Made me rethink it to the point that I was like, okay, I guess I should run PRKD so that I can stand a chance to maybe get very lucky and win the whole thing. The thing is, I was not good enough at any percent PRKD to have a big shot at winning the whole thing. Zost was still very much on top of his game. QD was better at the category than I was. Oats was right around probably the same level that I was. Behemoth was better, but I don't think he participated in that tournament. I'm like 99% sure he didn't. So no, he didn't for sure. So that being said, I decided, thank you for the YouTube membership. I appreciate that. I decided to run PRKD for the remainder of the tournament bracket. Okay. I don't have this VOD saved locally, but I can find it pretty easily. Now, I was really worried about running PRKD because that put me in a very, very vulnerable position. Like I said, I was still feeling very fragile, and I was like, what if I put my all into this and I don't come out in a good spot, right? Like, I was really worried. I was worried it was going to break me. And so what ended up happening, I made it to the semifinals, and it was Zost versus QD and me versus Oats, right? I think that's what it was. And Zost beat QD, obviously. No, that's not what it was. No, it was me versus Zost. That's what it was. Okay, hang on a second. I remember now. All right, we gotta find this. Speed gaming. Go to the channel. Go to the channel, and we're gonna do a search for SG Live, any percent 2022 Zeni. Okay, let's see. ShinyZeni versus Zost. Gold bracket SG Live 2022 SM any percent tournament.
Of 42-28.
Okay. So this
Both
part,
the Z, Zeni and Zost. So we'll see which Z prevails here.
this part of the bracket was still single elimination.
Absolutely. So the runners are ready up. We dropped the gate. The race has begun.
So there
Oats,
was a
you are intimately
winner's
familiar
bracket and a
with
losers
this route
bracket,
these runners
gold
are
and silver
gonna
bracket, I think.
running, and
no,
you are
gold.
also a semifinalist
I don't
in this
remember.
very tournament.
Anyway,
What?
Yeah.
so remember, there's a prize pool on the line here, okay? Zost really needs the cash. I really need the cash. We're friends, and this is the semifinals. So whoever wins here moves on to the finals and moves into a best of 3 situation. Okay. Now, the last time that I raced Zost in any percent, from what I recall, was the multi-category tournament in 2020. I ended up in the finals versus Zost in that tournament, and that was also a hype set of races. If I recall, we did any percent, and he won, obviously, because he was way better at any percent than I was. But I did keep pace with him for a little while, which was cool. Then we ran 100%, and I ended up winning that matchup by like the skin of my teeth. And then we did low ice, which I obviously lost because I was nowhere near as good as he was at that category. And I got gravity skip. So after bowling, I accidentally ran through the gravity suit and I went out the door down into ocean. So that's kind of a funny memory. But anyway, that was the last time that I'd raced against Zost in any percent. So we have this race, right?
I think with the way that
And-
Zeni has been playing, we have a awesome race ahead of us. So
It's very kind of
Zeni
Oats to say that.
busted out one of the greatest or the best race times thus far with I believe it was a 41.56. And up till now, Zost has been doing Kraid seconds, I believe. So this will be Zost's first Ridley second race, and it's going to be much needed because both these runners have to pull out some of the best strats in order to keep up with one another. So this should be a very entertaining race.
Okay, so Oats is like talking me up here, right? Because he's nice. Oats is such a nice dude. And so here's the funny thing. In the 100% race, that I think I just messed up. I don't know. It also looks like the timers are slightly desynced, so there's that. But in the 100% race, Zost was actually ahead. Again, 2020, right? Zost was ahead for like the entire race, but I pulled ahead in Turian to win. Okay.
Happy. There's no chance.
So I know that was in the back of
This gameplay
Zost's
at this
head.
point, it's almost just picture perfect.
Just as well.
Are around, give or take, 30 seconds away from each other. So this is going to come down to how clean their Metroid rooms are. If they get the proper RNG, which I don't think is going to be a problem for Zost, but I've seen weird things happen in this game. And if the baby skip is clean. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yes, the baby skip is probably the more pivotal trick in this.
I say leaving.
He's going for some of the fastest strats in Tori, and that strat there is very difficult to perform, but he nails it, and he's just cruising. Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about resources. He's doing a strat here to conserve some of his energy for a little bit more cushion with Mother Brain, Zeni has 20 and 6 entering Metroid 3. Let's see how he can finish this out. Ooh, 20 and 5. He needs to be fairly careful here. Ooh, that
So,
is.
so I'm
Yeah.
struggling a little bit over here, right?
Okay, Zeni is completely fine now
29.
at that point.
Love it. We love to see it. Just needs to finish off these Metroids in the 4th room here. But Zoe setting up for the baby skip.
This is before Stachio skip, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
I am shocked that Zeus
The
just missed
commentator
that.
curse. The commentator curse.
This is massive for Zeni. I have not seen Zeus miss this skip in a long time. I mean, he's exceptionally good at the game. Now, let's hold our breath here and watch. Hopefully Zeni can get this. Nails perfect. Just
Oh my
perfect.
God.
That
This
is-
race just got even more interesting.
Now I got chills. This is one heck of a race. As I was saying, I didn't want to do commentary curse or nothing, but this is down to Mother Brain. We see
It
some
absolutely
interesting
is.
things happen with my race versus Ruya, and we could very well see some interesting things happen.
So Zost is now officially like definitely in his head about this. Okay. It really wouldn't be that big of a deal, except he was aware of what happened obviously in the multi-category tournament a couple years prior. And also we're friends. So like that makes it a little weird. And there's a lot of money on the line. And it's like he really needed to win this race because Zost, the chance of Zost losing a best of 3 is much lower in this circumstance than losing a best of 1. Now remember, this is a best of 1, but if he was to win, he would move on to the next piece of the bracket and be in a best of 3 situation, which nothing is ever guaranteed, okay? But it would definitely put him in a very favorable position to take first place in the tournament and get the bulk of the prize pool, okay?
we're not done with this.
So he's definitely
different
worried
cutscenes.
this whole
I
time.
believe this should be the same time. There is a difference in
I'm still a few
cutscene,
seconds behind.
length. That fight, I wasn't watching both. I was trying to watch both, but I don't think Zeni missed anything. Zost had some serious issues with the bomb drop to where he had to jump over, back up, turn around. When you're turning around, that also can cause some problems with your shot time. They are a second apart entering this
This
escape.
is it. This is it. The escape.
I will say one thing. Zeni has been working on a strat at the top of Parlor. If he can execute this could literally be a win for Zeni. Because there is a certain pattern with Steam I've seen him do, and he has had the fastest escape time I've ever seen. So it really comes down to
can't
that.
wait to see it.
Oh no!
Look at the
Zost
lead
is
up.
Zost
Look at
almost
moonfall.
missed the moonfall, dude.
He got it on the backup, but look at this race. Look at the sync.
Oh,
So
Zeni had a little bit
I
of a
was
misstep. They're
aware
both
also,
entering the
by the
heat
way,
of
so I'm
Spark.
like super nervous.
Zost gets it, Zeni gets it. Now I really want to see the difference here. If Zeni can pull this strat off on top, this will make all the difference. Excellent
my
parlor
God.
for both. He's going for it. I believe he got the steam. Oh no, he didn't get the damage boost.
my
Zost had a great pattern. Is he gonna get steamed again? He does not. So that is a win for Zost. Only 2 seconds apart.
I
Wow.
don't believe it. I don't believe what we've just seen in your.
All right. So that happened, right? Obviously, I was fine with that outcome. I was totally expecting to lose to Zost, and the fact that I was even close, I was very much okay with that outcome. All right, like I was fine. And honestly, it was a little bit healing for me to like care so much about something and be okay with the loss. It's kind of like, hey, like I can handle emotionally hard things. Like, yeah, I'm still broken inside, but I'm doing better, right? So that put me in the losers bracket, where I ended up facing Cutie. Now, Cutie had knocked Oats out of the tournament, and this was a best of 3. Okay, this was a very hard experience for me. So I'm just gonna say that right off the bat here. Okay, best of 3. If I win this matchup, I lock in second place in the tournament with a very small shot at first place. I would be back up against Zost again. All I have to do is win this matchup. Okay. Cutie, shout outs to Cutie. Okay. He was literally traveling, by the way. He was driving across the country for a wedding, but he knew that we needed to do our race, and he knew that Eddie lived somewhere in the area. So Eddie offered to let Cutie stop at his house and do his races in the middle of his travel. So Cutie is playing at Eddie's house. Now, just so you guys know, speed running under normal circumstances in your own space where you're able to lock in because you're comfortable, you're familiar with your equipment, you're familiar with your TV and any distractions that are, going on around outside of you, whatever. It's hard. Okay. Speed running in a situation that you are not familiar with is freaking impossible. Okay. I just want you to know that. There's a reason that runs at GDQ are usually not as good as people's PBs. Every once in a while, you have somebody that gets a PB at GDQ or they get a world record at GDQ. Not in this game, though. And that is because it is very different and very hard to run effectively in an environment that is not one that you're comfortable with. Okay. Now, take that and then add to the fact Cutie was in the middle of traveling. So he'd been, I think, driving. So of course he's friggin' exhausted. Okay. And yet he's still like being like the most chill stand-up bro. And he's like, yeah, Zeni, we can race on this day when I'm going to be in the middle of traveling and exhausted. Sure, man. I know there's a bunch of money on the line, but we got to make sure that we get this bracket moving forward. So, yeah, we can race on this day. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm at home in my element, in my own space. I'm good. Everything's cool. Hey, Tatted. Yes, I did. Thank you. So that being said, first race.
What's going on?
Cutie's ahead. Okay.
He is playing well. A robot on me. There.
I think Fantoon switched who was in the lead and whatever. But like things are going, pretty okay for both of us.
Yeah, it looks like Zeni.
I'm a little ahead here. We're both getting wave around the same time. Like definitely solid race. Looks like there was something that happened that put Cutie behind at Lower Norfair. So I pulled ahead here. Yeah. Continue pulling ahead. Doing good. Get to Turian like 30 seconds ahead. Okay. My timer froze. Memes. Okay. Cutie ended up missing baby skip, so he had to refill. Looks like I probably did as well. Yeah, I must have. Yep. Okay, so we both have to refill. So, okay, so I remember this. I missed baby skip. I'm like, oh, dude, I just threw it. I had this in the bag and I freaking threw it. Wow, I'm such an idiot. Like, I'm being really hard on myself unnecessarily. And then Cutie misses baby skip as well. So, like, I lucked out. I completely lucked out there. I was like, oh, the universe is being nice. Like, I'm okay, right? So, race finishes. And yeah, I won this matchup by, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, whatever. Okay. Next matchup. I'm really nervous. I'm up 1 now. All I have to do is win one more time. I have second place locked in. We're good. Okay. Okay. Cutie's ahead. I'm nervous. I'm keeping tabs. Not super close, but I'm keeping tabs on what's going on. I fall in the water.
Does look like a good setup on the second one.
Cutie dips in moat. No. Now, again, okay. I need to point out, of course he dipped in moat. He was exhausted, and he was playing in an environment that he wasn't comfortable with. Like, yeah, of course he's going to have problems with this stupid trick in that setting. Right? I get the CWJ. I'm good.
Yeah. Both fall in, but the right side fall is just so much worse. Oh, it just doesn't quite.
Cutie's having a lot of trouble here.
Like, I main this strat instead of this
and he falls in again.
Oh no.
Okay. So at this point, like, this is really bad for Cutie. It's obviously really good for me. I don't remember exactly when I became aware of it, but I became aware that he had lost a bunch of time in moat. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, like, all I have to do is not screw up, okay? The rest of the run, I could not for the life of me stop making stupid tiny mistakes. And I think he had a really clean Ridley. So now we're fighting Ridley at the same time. Okay.
I know, but still.
He's like about to die, but he's okay. Because Cutie's a freaking boss like that.
Look at this. Look at the fearlessness.
Okay.
Of Cutie finishing the
Suddenly,
Yeah, but that's terrible because he's gonna get health bomb now. Not gonna get any drops.
Ridley's dead
Oh my goodness.
for both of us.
Picking up that
And
first
Cutie
hit.
decides not to grab the tank
Going for it. Look
because he
at
got
this.
health bombed. So
Yeah,
now
we're
I am
neck and- I mean, Zeni does
seconds
have a
ahead of
7-second
Cutie.
lead here. We saw it in the last race too. Cutie
This
is good on-
race, literally, it was free. All I had to do was not make huge mistakes, and I would have been fine. But I did. I made some mistakes.
And he does not. So
Cutie caught up.
that was completely intentional. By
Cutie pulled ahead.
Sparked the
Oh, perfect by Cutie. Yeah.
We both killed Dragon around the
These
same
bosses really
time.
get used to, like, looking at their
I'm
opponents.
slightly ahead again.
Meridia in the rear mistake. A slight.
3 seconds coming in. So
Oh.
it's
Ugh.
that's unfathomable. Also, shout outs to Eddie's.
Oh,
And I missed
no!
Baby Skip.
Oh no! Zeni has missed Baby Skip. Cutie though, with the dangerous strat. If Cutie can get this, Ducky's through the door.
Like I said, if we have
All right.
4 missed baby skips.
So I see that Cutie didn't miss Baby Skip, and I'm like, okay, my only chance to win this race now is if he dies to Mother Brain.
Like at this.
He doesn't, of course. So I end up losing that race. I'm like, okay, well, you know, it's best of 3, so I have a shot here.
Guys, I mean, they're neck and want it to happen.
So I'm like trying really hard not to get in my head about this. But again, I was in a pretty fragile place. And I was really worried that this was going to hit me really, really, really hard if I didn't take this win. The thing is, if I had just lost under normal circumstances, that would be one thing. But I lost against Cutie, who was in unfamiliar circumstances. And that happened after I had like a 40-second lead or something like that initially. So that got super in my head about it. Okay. So now we're on the third race. And sorry if this part's boring for you guys, by the way. I noticed chat has quieted down a lot, but
Maintain, or I should say, gain a lead.
I want to cover this. I feel like this is important.
It's not terrible.
So he doesn't even go for
He needs to put
CWJ
that
here.
out of his mind and focus on this, because this is the big. Okay, he's in
So
the
he
water.
immediately falls in.
We're gonna keep an eye on Zeni over here on the right. Cutie climbing out of the water. Zeni struggling with the bomb
No
jump
worries.
too.
So now I'm struggling with Mo.
Oh my
I'm super nervous at this
Cutie's in
point.
the water
Goodness.
again.
Cutie's in the
and
water.
You can see him leaning forward. This is not what he wanted. I don't think this is what Zeni wanted either. Zeni
I barely
very
make it
close.
across the moat.
gets across the moat.
Barely. I mean, you can see in my
Oh,
face cam. I'm like, oh,
Cutie into the water. Come on, Cutie.
Room for Cutie to get.
he gets the
Get
one
across
frame
the moat.
turnaround that boomerangs
This
him
is a
into the
terrible
water.
place to be. Zeni
Okay.
into the wreck
So
ship.
this is like deja vu.
Back
Like
in the lead.
it's
Unfortunately,
just
Cutie using that
same
moonwalk,
thing as the
uh,
previous race,
just
right?
going
Like
a
I'm just
little bit
pulling
too
ahead
far.
further and
He
further.
is going for
CWJ.
the doesn't get it.
So
He had the
Okay.
setup.
So now you're aware of that. Okay.
Open that.
All right. So I come out of Fantoon. I literally remember coming out of Fantoon here and being like, the universe has given me another chance. Last time I screwed this up, I'm not going to screw up this time. I will not. I was so determined to not screw this up. Okay.
The heat.
game, and then okay,
So I maintain my lead, maintain my lead,
These are the
play comfortably.
maintain my lead. Ridley's dead. Ridley's dead for QD2. I'm not messing around. I don't go for the tank.
This-
No effing way,
Yeah,
dude.
I think because he
Maintaining my
Gotta lay
lead,
it all
maybe
out
not
on
as
the
much
line.
as
This is it. This-
before, but maintaining my lead. Maintaining my lead. Maintaining my lead.
just
He was-
taking a little time to get it, and I think that will pay off for him later. That spark looks good. The damage on Dragon looks phenomenal. He's going for 2 sparks right here. What a
Perfect.
fight!
Perfect fight. And the spike suit master shows why he has that title.
Hockey has cursed me with
gave it
spike
to him,
suits
but
so many
Huey-
times.
ShinyZeni doing that sweet numb strat. It
Maintaining my
gives
lead.
you every tune people.
Maintaining my
These
lead.
Metroids- Okay, good. My goodness.
Not as far ahead,
Water
still ahead.
Almost did that bomb.
Cutie with 15-10.
Oh yeah, Cutie
don't
decided to do
believe this.
15-10.
All right, Hockey.
So good for
Been here
him,
before.
by the way, for
You've
sure.
been here for all 3 of these games.
I have. I can't.
We-
I hard cannot take this, JD. I just can't.
It's do or die.
have to execute this.
Standing with first jump,
Okay,
It's good.
clears out. This debris. He's got it.
we're good.
Clutched it.
Cutie going for another jump. He has to. He's
Cutie's
also got
through,
the
but
skip.
his skip was slower.
Oh,
Than, okay.
It's really close.
I
Both
don't remember
players
if I was
stepping
keeping
up,
tabs
getting the
on
babies.
this exactly. I know that I was at least loosely.
Saved the best for last, JD, in this race 3.
So probably like when Mother Brain
But
is
now
coming
it's
in, I
not
probably
over.
like
We
look
need
and
down
see.
back into
Okay.
Mother Brain 1. We need Mother
I'm
Brain
still
2
ahead
and
by like a
Brain
healthy
is
amount.
safe.
Okay.
And
You can't. And both our runners have.
Something interesting about Super Metroid. I used to not understand this. I completely understand it now, and I will never forget it. There will always be new mistakes to make. It doesn't matter how much you practice or how many runs you do. You're always going to be prone to making new mistakes.
Identical energy right now, JD. They have the same odds of completing this fight.
I was very nervous during this fight.
That is to say, neither has an advantage when it
I was
comes to
locked
output
in.
damage.
I knew I could
A missed
knew I
shot
could
from
do
Zeni could
this,
allow Cutie
but I was
to
really
just
nervous.
Get inch ever closer to him.
Zeni's playing very composed right now. I'm very impressed. These players, when they get to 45 shots, they're watching out for this red beam. The red beam ends the game. You cannot take that hit. You gotta avoid it. A missed shot from Zeni. He cuts down and he takes
No.
the damage.
No.
That was a fatal mistake. Can Cutie clutch the fight out? Here comes the
JD, I don't believe it.
he jumping over the catch up. He's not shooting anymore. He's done. He's done.
Cutie wins.
ShinyZeni.
So
Heartbreaking.
so heartbreaking. Again, under normal circumstances, this would have been hard to swallow. Under the circumstances of knowing how much money was in that prize pool and how helpful it would be for my family, and the fact that I lost to Cutie when he was exhausted and in a distracting environment because it wasn't even his own, and after I had a significant lead to the point of a win being more or less free for me, not once but twice, this was really, really, really hard for me to swallow. But in hindsight, I do think it was good. I think it was a good experience, because this was the first true setback or blowback or whatever you want to call it that I had since my burnout, where I was like emotionally invested in something and it came back to like really bite me in the face, right? Outside of like the KPDR 42 that I choked the escape so bad, like that was bad, but it was like, this was just different. This was on a higher level, right? This was like, I'm on 100% record pace and I've missed baby skip 19 times in a row. Like not that intense, but you know what I mean. Okay, so I mentioned a minute ago, there's always new mistakes to make in Super Metroid. So what happened here? So let's just look. I want to explain this to you guys. So what's funny about this is I was already aware of this mechanic, but hadn't thought about it in the context of this fight. If you're moonwalking and you jump, you'll do a moonfall. I mean, you know that. I know that. Whatever. That being said, moonfalls are always the same height jump. You can tap the jump button or you can press and hold the jump button, and Samus is always going to do a mini jump spin. Okay? I actually use that in any percent glitched, because there's a part in the out of bounds where if you jump too high, you lose. So you can just do a moonfall there instead, and that fixes that issue. Okay? So what happens here, I am currently moonwalking to readjust position for the shots on Mother Brain. Okay?
Pause right now.
And while I'm moonwalking, we can mute this, I guess. While I'm moonwalking, Mother Brain fires an attack, which prompts me to try and dodge. Oh, it's not quite here. Okay, so I go to moonwalk to adjust right at the wrong time, and she fires onion rings. And I know I need to dodge those onion rings. Well, how do you dodge onion rings? You jump. So prior to letting go of my moonwalk, I tried to jump to avoid the onion rings, and what happened is I did a moonfall instead, which actually literally prevented me from getting out of the way. So I just took those onion rings to the face. It was over. What's interesting about all that is, oops, not sleep timer. Like I said, I hadn't really considered how that mechanic would affect something like this fight. But that forced me to consider that, which again, I mean, you know, I think part of running this game for so long, one of the things that you have to do is learn from your mistakes. I'm glad that I made that mistake when I did, because I was able to learn from it, and now I'm much more conscious about how and when I adjust, how and when I moonwalk in the mother brain fight. I'm very careful now. I'm like, okay, she just fired an attack. I can take one step back and then I got to stop just in case I need to dodge. Like it's that sort of thing. It's those sort of little things that you pick up on after months and months and months and years and years and years of doing runs of this game. You make a mistake and you learn from it. And you make a mistake and you learn from it, right? Thank you, TMW, for the resub. I really appreciate that. And thank you for the congrats. But like if I hadn't made this mistake in this race, who's to say I wouldn't have made that mistake on the 4022 that happened, you know? It's just really interesting to think about stuff like that. So anyway, that was a long tangent for all that stuff. But yeah, so that any percent tournament happened. I ended up taking third, which I still got a bunch of money for that. I'm not going to say exactly how much, but you know, more than I ever expected to win in this game ever. You have to have a minimum of 301 energy to survive the fight, best tech. So I was just dead. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I was really grateful for that experience, but it was really hard to swallow. I did briefly think about taking a little break from Super Metroid. I don't remember what I decided about that, but after that experience, I decided, I don't remember what my PB at the time was, but I decided I needed to set some clear goals as far as what I would shoot for with any percent PRKD, and I also needed to have a deadline of when I would be done, regardless of those goals. Again, just for my mental health, right? So if we come back here, so let's see. So this was the KPDR runs right here. We have 2 KPDR runs, and then I start PBing in PRKD because of the tournament. Okay, so I got a 42.19, then I got a 42 flat. What's funny about this 42 flat is it was totally 41 pace, but then Zost cursed it. That's probably worth watching, actually. Let me pull that up real quick. Drewski, no one talk about the room. Drewski has also cursed a bunch of my runs. Not just mine. Drewski is infamous for cursing people in the escape, especially in Parlor. I think there was a race one time, Drewski, wasn't there, where Eddie... Was it you cursed Eddie or Eddie cursed you? Somebody was like, no shot, he fails climb spark 3 times. And then that literally happened.
Bad fight.
You guys need to learn how to shut up when people are on pace. All right, so Zost put whale in chat, which is like the whale of attachment. It's kind of an old school meme, but OMG, my bad. I swear he said something about this is 41 easy or something. I swear he did. But something that you might notice, like this is before the tournament was really like super underway, but like I am looking better now compared to how I was like a year before this. Just emotionally, I'm looking better and I'm feeling better, not all the way better, you know, but okay. So I, you know, mess up in Leodox a little bit. Man, maybe he said something earlier. He had to have.
Come on.
The double parlor fail.
Oh my hell.
Triple parlor fail. See, I still blame Drewski for this too, because he mentioned nobody talk about the room. Double steam. 42.
Oh, that's so funny.
Okay, I gotta find the Zost comment. I know he said something. Zost was on as his alt, STFQM funk. This is it. This is it. And I saw that. Zost saying, this is it. I'm like, bro. Chug my water out of my dew mug. I kind of miss that. I need to get a bigger water jug again. Dew mug is still back there, but it's just kind of a pain filling up.
Mug full of Mountain Dew. For anybody wondering, it's definitely not water.
Anyway, we don't have to find it, but yeah, Zost and Drewski cursed that run. Okay. I did end up getting a 4156 5 days later, so not too bad. Okay. Then a 4150, 4146, 4145, 4140, 4124, 4122. Okay. So all of that happened in the course of a couple months. So pretty fast progression again. So I was starting to feel more like myself as far as like, oh yeah, I can learn this game fast. I can get better at it fast. I can progress fast. I'm cool, right? Then of course I immediately get humbled. So I got a 4107 in November. I think this was right after the end of the tournament. I don't remember for sure when. Let's see. December. So okay, so this match versus QD was December. So I had been working to try and PB again for a while. Where is it? 4122, 4107. So this was 2 or 3 weeks before the end of the tournament. The end of the tournament happened. That's right. Okay, I remember this. So I died a mother brain, and I'm like, maybe I should just quit any percent. Like, I got a 4107. I'm good. Like, it's 4th place. I would really like the sub 41, but you know, I don't really have it in me. And I was just thinking, like, what do I do? And I decided, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm already in the groove. I should wait and see what happens on New Year's. So I did. I waited. New Year's came and went. Nothing happened. And I decided that my hard cutoff was going to be the end of January. And that at the end of January, I was just going to wipe my hands of any percent. And that was hard because there were so many people pushing me to continue. And I was just like, guys, for my mental health, for my mental stability, I have to set a time to be done. I just have to be done with it. And I even remember the end of January came and I hadn't PB'd, and it had been 2.5 months. Yeah, 2.5 months since I had PB'd. I was like right on the cusp of a PB. Like Drewski said, 4107 missed Lava Spark, so like it wasn't even something that should have been that hard to PB against. But I just knew that I needed to step away, and that was hard. So I did. I made myself step away, and there were people that, you know, were like, "You're definitely going to be the next sub 41." I was like, "I don't know," and like it didn't happen. I felt like I was like letting them down, but ultimately it was like, gotta do what's best for me, you know. And what's best for me is making sure that I'm prioritizing my mental health and my well-being and my stability, and I gotta make sure that I'm able to support my family. So I stepped out. I was like, no, we're done with any percent for a while. I don't know how long. I always knew that I wanted to come back, and basically leaving the category at this time created unfinished business, which is funny saying that because, as you see, I then went back to RBO. Now, the funny thing about going back to RBO here is the only reason I came back to RBO was because I had unfinished business. If you remember, my PB was very underwhelming for me. It came after I had thrown a huge PB. And what's funny is the times probably would have been fairly similar, but just the way that it ended up happening was really underwhelming. So I always felt like I had unfinished business with RBO. So I decided to go back. This was kind of a scary thing for me to do because RBO was a category that I cared about. And if you have been watching up to this point or whatever, you know that I was talking about how this entire 2022, the entire year, my the way that I approached that was I wanted to keep playing the game, but I needed to make sure I was playing stuff that I didn't care that much about so that I could protect my mental and emotional well-being. And you're like, well, you're running any percent. The thing is, I didn't care that much about any percent at the time. Prior to the 2022 SG Live tournament, I didn't like it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. People would be like, you should run PRKD. I'm like, nah, I don't really like it. And what's funny is during the course of that tournament, I actually grew to like it. I grew to enjoy it a lot. And that's another reason that it was hard for me to step away. But I knew that I needed to because I didn't want to burn myself out, right? So I was avoiding burnout, and so that's why it was kind of scary to go back to RBO, because it was a category that I cared about a lot, but I knew that I had a lot of room to improve here still. And it was a way that I could avoid burnout by playing something different. That's probably the best way to avoid burnout, is just to play something different.